Welcome back
To the back corner.
to the Dozens.
And the Dozens.
We're so glad you could join us yet again.
I feel like we're about to embark on like a game of chicken as we stared at each other as to who's
gonna
break
first.
first.
There
You
we
did
go.
this time. Maybe there's a new thing. If you end up hearing the whole song in the
It
next
loops
episode,
around again.
you'll know that there's a standoff at the
First
back
17
corner.
minutes is just that song on loop.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for jumping in there, AJ.
You're very
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
44 BC.
44 BC. We
Yeah.
got a bit of a hum going there.
We do?
A little bit of a humdinger.
That's the classic 44
There it
BC hum.
Yes.
Yeah.
It comes out. It unlocks.
It's well
after
known.
44.
Yeah, totally,
episodes. So,
New achievement unlocked. But
yeah. Welcome to the Dozens. We're
Yeah.
super glad that you're with us as per usual. We had a good guest today.
I'm excited.
You want to intro?
Yeah, I'd love to
Let's,
introduce our guest.
Let's cue the tunes.
Give me a little guest introduction music.
It's a vibe.
That is.
Kari Broad is the Associate Pastor of Ministries here at King's Church. That means she oversees a whole lot of stuff from kids and youth ministries to Alpha and home church. She is that rare combination of an organizational and operational whiz who has deep compassion for people and a true shepherd's heart. I've been told she has a pretty amazing story. We've been working together for a year and a half, and I'm super excited to finally hear it. I'm glad you get to hear it too. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the back corner my across the street neighbor, Pastor Kari Broad.
I just need that on a soundbite
There you
behind
go.
me.
There you go.
Just anytime you go.
That should be
anywhere
your
new.
voicemail. You're about to leave a message for someone who.
Let me tell you a little bit about who you're about to leave a message for. Truly,
love
we
it.
are glad to have Kari in the back
Yeah,
corner.
and I've heard multiple times you have this amazing story, and I'm yet to hear it. I'm super stoked.
I'm excited for her to get to share it.
But before we do that, we do have a word from our sponsor.
Yeah. So let's throw. We got a commercial for you.
Yeah, here we go. Check this out.
Attention, men of Atlantic Canada. XY Conference is Atlantic Canada's premier Christian men's conference, providing opportunities for you to strengthen yourself in the Lord through powerful times of worship, teaching, and testimony. Join hundreds of men from across Atlantic Canada this April 17th and 18th at Tidal Church in Moncton, New Brunswick, as we hear from special guests including Brent Ingersoll, Michael Kelsey, Ed Newton, and Leonce Crump. For more information and to register today, visit xyconference.com.
All right.
There it is,
XY
XY.
Conference. Yeah, it is time, gentlemen. It is time. It's coming up like just in a handful of weeks. 1 month, I think.
Here's the deal. If you are listening to this the day it releases, tomorrow is my birthday.
Ooh.
Would you please, for my birthday,
Yes.
register for XY?
Do it for AJ, people.
Do it if you love me at all. If I've edified or entertained you in any way, register for XY.
There it is, people.
That's all we want.
If you lacked good reason to go to XY,
Sorry, if
Now
you're
you
not,
have
if you
to.
won't do it for yourself or your wife or your family, do it for me.
what is the date of your birthday?
March 4th.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to loop back around on the guilt trip on March 21st.
There we go.
And
We'll just
it'll
be drilling.
Maybe let's have a birthday contest.
Oh yeah, okay. So everybody,
Who
if
you love
Maybe
more?
more registrations.
you
came
love
in.
me more, register between now and the 20th.
Yes.
And then if you love Brent more, you can wait and
Actually,
register on the 21st.
If you love me more,
you would
register
register
between
right
now and
If you would like Brent to sleep at night, please register.
yeah. XY is like that one event where we really are expecting 1,000 plus guys, but we usually, like last year, I think we had close to 1,200, and there were like 600 registrations the week of.
Yeah.
Don't do that to a guy. Come on.
Genuinely, it's hard for us to plan well.
Yeah.
When we don't know how many people are coming.
Guys are serial.
And let's be honest, it's hard
procrastinators.
for you to plan well. Right?
That
Like
too.
don't wait till the week before and see if you have time.
Yeah.
Decide to make the time and
Yeah.
register and adjust other stuff around
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. So it's coming. We're going to keep, that's going to be our primary sponsor for the next handful of weeks. So,
Do we have some special stuff for some people in all this?
yeah. So a couple things to note. We do have there's like a contest happening, right?
Giveaway?
There's a giveaway?
Yeah. So if you register by the 11th
Yes.
of
March?
March,
Yep.
that, and you are entered into a draw to win a Yeti cooler.
And not
like a full size.
Yeah, not like a small Yeti like this.
No, like
not a travel
like
mug.
a ice chest.
It's one that's built. You could put a full elk shank in
It
there.
had a number. I think it was like 50 something. It comes in numbers. I don't know which one it is, but
it's beefy.
and
That'd
it
be
has
a great
big
way to
sticker on it
measure
saying
the
it's
size
bear
of coolers.
proof.
It's bear. There you go.
So
Bear
if,
proof. Yeah.
if you want to, you can
mean-
take it out with the bears.
I feel like, man, that's a big claim. A bear proof.
Yeah.
It has a pretty scary sticker on it.
Yeah.
Bear. I'd give it bear resistant or something.
Yeah.
What bears?
I mean, I will say there's a bear. I don't know what the exact verbiage it says.
They're counting on the lack of dexterity.
Well,
in the bear.
Bravo.
So I was watching this video today, and they were talking about that there's actually only 4 animals in all the world that choose to feed on humans.
Oh,
Like there's others that will in a pinch, or if you get, but I think it was leopards, tigers. There's 2 of them were big cats, and alligators, and then polar bears. And the guy was saying like polar bears will open a car like it's a can, like just rip it open. So I'm sure it's not polar bear proof.
it's black bear proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe a weak grizzly.
Koala bear,
and
koala
probably
bear
if it's
proof.
like locked, it has holes to put locks in it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Could be panda proof.
So
those
enter
things are pretty
in,
stupid.
Register, and you get your name in the promo, in the chance to win the Yeti, which is a cool gift. And then also every year we do a few things, just try to help certain groups of people out. If you're a man in recovery, you're in like a recovery center, recovery program right now, or in this season, we'll cover your registration. So you can I forget how the best way to do that.
It's usually through
your center, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to this and maybe your director doesn't know about it, maybe tap them on the back and say, "Hey, can we all go to XY? We'll cover the costs of your registration for that." Pastors as well. If a pastor brings anybody from their church, we'll cover their registration.
Can't beat that.
No, come on, pastors. Pastors are some of the most fickle people. Anyway, let's get they're hard to pin down anyway.
true.
Which, to be fair, because they're pinned down in a bunch of other ways. So I get
But
it.
we want to make it as easy as possible for you
Yeah.
pastors. And
Yeah.
so bring or 700 guys
Yeah.
from your church,
And
and you'll come for free.
there really is, as far as pastoring goes, very few things that will be a bigger return on investment or
Absolutely.
an easier win for your church. So just if you got,
It's a lot of fruit for only a little bit of effort.
yeah, well, if you got 10 guys there, even you'd see the impact in your church. So pastors will make that super easy for you. And then young adult men. So guys under the age of 25, I think we have a steep discount. I think we cover like 3/4 of the cost there. So I don't know what the actual, I think it's like $30, 40. 40. Still, I mean, we're paying more than you are. So
Yeah.
Like we're losing money on that.
big time. Yeah. So, but we just feel like there's something special on young men. I mean, we just did a baptism as of the time of this recording a couple of days ago, and Kari and I were standing, and I just leaned over, like 3/4 of the people who got baptized were young men.
That's awesome.
You know, so it's just like there's something God's doing
Yeah.
in Gen Z and Gen Alpha. And so we want to throw fuel on that fire. So if you're a young man, no excuses. Come on out. And I think there's historically been like groups of young adult men like sleeping on the floor at like Glad Tidings, and so they make the whole weekend ultra cheap. So
Yeah.
it's a big win for that. So XY coming up.
Yeah.
So let's
on
fire up the teletype machine. And what are we researching today, Ron?
I want to know what your favorite season is. Season of the year.
Favorite season?
Spring,
Well,
summer, fall, winter. If you had to pick one.
it's easy for me. All right, favorite season. Go.
I in my old age, I'm a summer guy.
Yeah.
I there was a time I might have said spring, only because something good comes after spring. Weather-wise, I would prefer fall, but fall is like
You know,
you're just
it's-
waiting for the other shoe to
yeah,
drop.
It's true.
But summer, it's not. You don't have all the wet nastiness of spring, but everything's still alive and green, and it's warm. And yeah, I'm a straight down the middle. Just give me summer.
Can't go wrong with that.
Okay, this is going to push back on it a little bit. I like the changing of seasons.
Ah,
And so
Yep.
whether it's summer and it changes into fall, I love that time of year, or if it's fall into winter, all of it, the changing of seasons
You
is
like-
what's exciting.
you like the end and the beginning of seasons.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
I feel like
enjoy
I'm
that.
at, like people say, like, man, if you lived in whatever, like California is only one season, I was like, yeah, I think I'd be fine with that at this point in my life.
When we were in Guatemala, it's like it's the same day every day,
Every day.
all year round.
Yeah.
It's 21 degrees, sunny, and yeah, I mean,
I was in
that's-
Nicaragua every night. It rains for 20 minutes between like 7:04.
Yeah, 7:22.
Like
yeah.
legitimately, if it started
Yeah.
raining, you just step under an awning and you knew it was going to end in just a couple minutes, and then you would step back out. And,
I couldn't live in a place.
No, it
with
was
one,
gross
with
hot.
one
I
season.
like it to change.
Yeah. For me, it's fall. It's I love the fall. So I like the routine coming back out of summer. It's hunting season. It's the weather's my favorite. So I do agree, though, there is a bit of an impending dread over you with fall, but I can see past that.
It's like if someone brought you a cake, a big delicious cake, but you knew somewhere at the bottom there was a turd.
And you're like, I don't want to dig down too.
You're like, I'm going to try some of this, but I can only get so into it because I don't want to get that far.
See, I'm good even right up through Christmas. I don't mind that early winter either. So I think we can all agree winter's the worst, though.
Yeah, winter's
the worst.
Clearly the worst.
We're in the middle of
I
the
know
worst
people
part.
who for whom winter is their favorite, and I legitimately think it's like some sort of mental illness or derangement or Stockholm
just trying to
syndrome or
convince
something.
themselves.
I don't.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
sure it is.
Yeah, there's certain foods that people convince themselves it's so delicious. I'm like, nope, it's not. It's not delicious at all.
No, not at
well,
all.
we do have a female in the back corner today, and we do have a tradition.
You know what that means?
Where we try to solicit some information for all mankind.
Okay.
So this is your chance, Kari, to, on behalf of all the lady dozens, maybe set the record straight. Maybe you've got some dudes that are listening. What's something that would be
what do we need to know?
what would be beneficial for all mankind,
Advice,
particularly mankind?
insight.
Yeah, do you got
Like just come out of the blue with it?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably should have let you know that this was coming. But what's something that if men did this, the world would be a better place, or the home would be a better place, or the marriage would be a better place, or kids, or whatever? What's one small tip for all mankind?
I would say pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, like pause before action, pause before speaking.
Oh, think.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Yeah.
It's a bold
Just take a
strategy,
moment.
but I think you're onto something.
Just take a moment
Take a breath.
to see what's around you if you're encountering something or if something's coming at you. Like just take a moment to pause before you speak.
Yeah, no. That's,
It kind of goes against the ethos of this whole show,
I mean,
but just
yes,
to
it does. But
no, that's
No,
good.
that's great advice.
That is good advice. So I do find the older I get, the more I'm able to do that. Some of it's just coming with age.
I think the more you experience the damage that you can cause by not doing that, even if you're not mature, you just get lazy enough to go like, oh, geez, like it's not worth creating a mess. I better think about this first. You know, kind of like when you're a kid and you're playing with stuff, like you'll just make a huge mess, not thinking about that you're gonna have to clean it up after. And then eventually you get to the age where you're like, I'm gonna keep all these Lego in one place so it's easier to clean up. Like I do think there's something to be said for just reaching that level of maturity where you care about how other people around you feel or how they experience things, but also there's just a party that goes, this is going to be a hassle. Like if I don't think this through, it's going to create more work than it's worth.
I feel like that advice has come out of like 15 years of experience with Andy, and like the fastest moving guy I know. Like
Yes, he is a fast talker.
He's not reactive, but he's quick.
he's not. But he's a fast talker. He's a fast thinker.
Yeah.
And he will jump into action quickly. Though.
Yes.
And sometimes I'm like going, wait, you don't even understand what I'm saying. Hold on.
Yeah, that makes good sense. So for people who don't know, by the way, Kari is Andy Broad's better half, and Andy was on our Christmas special.
Christmas special.
So that was a good time.
That was a great time.
Yeah, we'll have to have him back. Maybe make it a Christmas thing.
There we
He does
go.
bring the fun.
He does. He is.
it was a good time.
He is perhaps the funnest guy.
One of
I
the
know.
first guests we had on who was bold enough to just declare he's never listened to the show at all. I'm sure there's other guests who haven't, but most
He
of them
admitted
keep
it.
that to
Yeah,
themselves.
he admitted it.
Yeah, no, never heard it. What are we doing?
Yeah, what's this? So let's do it.
There we go. All right. Well, we've got we want to take advantage again of having the insights of a feminine perspective in our midst, and so we got a kind of a 3-part keep it or sweep it that we want to do based around like holidays, special days, that kind of stuff. So the first one is this. The word holiday is a shortened phrase of holy day. Historically, in the Christianized West, holidays were part of the liturgical calendar and signified days set aside to celebrate and commemorate events of great spiritual significance, like Christmas and Easter. Then along came holidays that while maybe theistic, were less overtly Christian, like Thanksgiving. And eventually what some might call hallmark holidays, like Father's Day and Mother's Day, or the hallmarkification of formerly Christian holidays like Valentine's Day. Some folks would say it's important to take the opportunity to celebrate these people and these events as often as possible. Others would say they're just concocted occasions to make people feel obligated to spend money. What do you say? Hallmark holidays, keep it or sweep it?
I've thought about this in the past. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I say you guys go first.
Okay. All right.
I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.
Well, you've thought about it?
I do struggle with the, like, when sometimes the holiday that we're supposed to be celebrating isn't even done, and you have stores like loading up on the next holiday, and so there is a like a commercialization of these holidays that drives me crazy, and makes me feel obligated in a way that I don't think is helpful. That said, I do think there's something to the rhythms and the reminders. So I'm going to go with a cautionary or a soft sweep or a soft keep, of these. Like, did I get my wife flowers for Valentine's Day? Yes, I did. Was I a little annoyed that I was obligated to? Yes, I was.
Yeah.
But I still think it's better than worse. And so I'm thankful for it now. I do find there's more and more of these like things popping up, which starting to really, like, Family Day just happened, like, great. I love my family. And yet, when are we going to start like having, you have to get certain materials, certain chocolates, or maybe it's clothing or something to properly celebrate Family Day.
Yeah.
I don't like the capitalization of it, and the commodification of it. So that annoys me. I feel like you've become the tail and not the head, and that bugs me. So I'm going soft keep. Yeah. So
I mean, personally, I don't really care about them at all. I'm not that into Christmas, for that matter. So, I mean, how can I be that into, these made up holidays? But I do think it's important, like, whoever those days are targeted at in your life, to know how they feel about it and to take that into account. So, like, if your mother is really big into Mother's Day and you love your mother, you should probably do something nice for your mother on Mother's Day, not because you think Mother's Day is a big deal, but because she does. That kind of thing. Kelly and I, my wife and I, we've never been real sticky on those things. Like, I bought her flowers for Valentine's Day this year, but I think it might be the first time I ever have.
And you are healthy right now.
And it just struck me as a thing to do this year, like, kind of a thing. There was no...
Well, I mean, when you got colleagues taking their wives to Backstreet Boys, I mean,
when you have colleagues who are... Yeah, I can tell you what my wife said when I told her about... So, yeah, Mel's making Brent go to the Backstreet Boys, and she just looked at me and said, that's the worst thing I can imagine. But, I think... I don't know. There is something to be said for taking time to intentionally observe some of these things. But I also think, like, if I find it far more meaningful when those types of things are celebrated spontaneously, like fatherhood or motherhood or love or whatever else, as opposed to, the time came on the calendar and we have to do it. So I would go soft sweep. I think they're overrated. I think they're over commercialized. I mean, if you look into the history of Mother's Day, the woman who invented it actually spent the end of her life campaigning to have it stopped because she thought it was a terrible idea once it got rolling. I'm trying to remember what her reasons were, but I think it was along those lines of like, we've like boiled mothers down to one day and that's stupid kind of a thing. But I think that, if it's meaningful to the person that it celebrates, you need to take that into account. Another thing too, like, it's an excuse. So like for Mother's Day and Father's Day, like Kelly and I usually just one or the other of us, like whoever's day it is, gets to pick a restaurant we eat at somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not a big, like it's an excuse to eat out. Yeah. So we kind of take that excuse, but yeah, I would go soft sweep.
Yeah. I think it's healthy. It's healthy at some level, but like there's been times for Mother's Day or Valentine's Day where I had bought Melanie flowers or done something like just days before, not realizing, oh crap. And then I have to go out and do it again because I don't want to be that guy. So there's been times where she's had a dying set of flowers and a new set of flowers, like just because it's more about me though at that point than it is her, where it's like I feel this, I don't want to be that husband, where I don't want her to be that wife who didn't get flowers on Mother's Day or whatever. So
that's where she just goes, my husband loves me so much he couldn't wait.
Well, I would hope she would think that, but who knows?
Dude, you went to the Backstreet Boys with her. To the day you die, she can't assume you don't love her.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, no, that's like 20 years worth of.
That's how I feel about it. Anyway.
I mean, I think you guys are both wrong. I think it's a hard keep because it creates space to remind us to create moments. And so I think that some of us do good at doing that spontaneously, but some don't. And so having those reminders, I do think there's obviously opportunity for like feelings to be hurt and expectations and all those things. But like as the person who is like, if you're the one trying to celebrate it, I say keep it, because like, why not have a reminder to do those things? Yeah,
it might have a lot to do too with like your personality too, right? Like you and Kelly just aren't you're a gift giver. So you obviously are a gift receiver.
Yep.
Right? Like
actually,
not really, Like, because she's incredible at like just thoughtful gifts. Like like her, Tracy, like they're both really good at like, I'm not good at that stuff. So it's like, we're doing flowers again, right? So, but like, I think it does have a lot to do though with the people that, to your point, if they do value that, but I'm not pushing your thing.
Because what is it? There's that book by Power of the Moment.
Yeah.
And it's more so talking about like spontaneous moments or like being it's just intentionality.
Yeah.
And so if you struggle with intentionality, then those moments might be more important to jump on. But if you are able to build that in, then maybe that does lighten the load.
Yeah, maybe it's like a good low but necessary bar. You know what I mean? Like it's like if for some people need that like trigger. Yeah. They're just not the types that are going to be intentional. So
I do think back to like knowing how whoever you're celebrating will perceive it too. Like I know for me, probably the day of the year that it's the least meaningful for my wife to tell me I'm a good dad is Father's Day.
Yeah.
Right.
Like just the middle of nowhere. It's just, hey, you're good dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that like, it's just that's more meaningful to me than, but I know for other people, there's very much like this, if of all days, this is the day you should, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think you got to know your audience.
Should be like a both and thing, right? Like you should be doing that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But also like don't miss the.
Yeah. And how big, I mean,
it's a layup.
I don't think I would ever encourage you to not acknowledge that day.
Yeah.
But whether that's your high point of whatever your celebration of whoever that person is and whatever that capacity is or not.
I might be a little bit touchy about it too, just from a church standpoint, because I have found those market holidays try to push their way into the agenda, like even on Sunday and stuff. Like for a long time, we went pretty hard in the paint on like Father's Day and Mother's Day and making that whole day about that. And after a while, I kind of started feeling like, wait, we're kind of aiming this more at people than we are at God, and that's really not the purpose of Sunday.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so we've backed off a little bit. We still try to do something kind or meaningful or redemptive on those days, but we've gotten a little bit less. Again, maybe the obligation of it, we've kind of taken a step back on. I think that's been healthy.
It starts to feel to me a little bit like the whole national flags in the auditorium kind of a thing, right? Like it's like it's not a bad like. If you like your country, that's great.
Yeah.
But that's not what church is about. That's not what we're here to do, right? And those holidays that don't have any direct correlation to Jesus, right? And I'd often, say too, like if we don't do like Lent and Pentecost, and like if we're not even following the church year,
Remembrance
why are we
Day
following the Hallmark year? Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Totally. Yeah. And even the whole service is about mother. I worked when I was in Bible college, I worked under a pastor once who had a great take, I think, on Mother's Day and Father's Day. On Mother's Day, he preached a sermon about fatherhood, and on Father's Day, he preached a sermon about motherhood. And his whole point was, this is your day. The last thing you need is someone telling you how you're screwing up. And so he would like crisscross them. So like the moms would walk in like, I'm good today. Like I ain't walking out convicted about nothing today.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought it was a cool approach. Yeah. All right. Well, we got another one here, sort of related, but not quite.
I feel like we need the theme music.
Yeah, we got to have the theme music.
So
there is, of course, another kind of special days, the ones that are not celebrated by a whole culture, but are specific to individual people, like birthdays and anniversaries. Some people think it's essential to celebrate those days on the exact date, and that if you really love the person, you'll arrange your life to be able to hold the celebration that day, and that anything else is somehow less or second best. Other people take a more pragmatic approach and say they would rather celebrate the occasion whenever it fits comfortably into the rest of life and that the exact date doesn't really matter. What's your take? Celebrating special days on the exact date, keep it or sweep it?
I went first last time.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary to celebrate on the exact day. I guess, again, unless it's the person you're celebrating. Yeah. I prefer to have a birthday month, though, really.
Yeah,
so,
I like that.
Yeah. My birthday's in May, and so it starts off with Mother's Day and just carry it through. It's all about me then.
Yeah, I like that.
That's valid.
I think that's one of the reasons maybe I get a little weary on some of this stuff is just might have to do a little bit with like how this stuff falls for a family and for a person.
You guys
like,
get hit hard in March.
Basically like end of March is my birthday, and then two of my sons, my dad, my nephew are all like the same week in April. Then you hit Mother's Day, it's our anniversary, it's Melanie's birthday, and it's just like boom, right one after the other. And so by the end of it, I'm broke and over it.
Yeah,
so maybe.
But it starts with you, so
it does start. But I feel like mine just gets passed over for the most part. So I feel like Father's Day and my birthday are like the least of my concerns, or our family's concerns for that matter.
I can respect that.
Yeah. I don't have to, it doesn't have to be that day. I think if it can be that day, great. But if it's, life sometimes is not going to come around your birthday properly, or, or even like having some flexibility around, like if it will actually destroy the day if you aren't malleable enough to like, okay, well, we can't meet on Christmas with my family this Christmas, so we're going to do it on the 27th or whatever. Yeah. Like I think being flexible around those things is key. So
it at least helps your heart not to get stomped in the process.
Yeah, exactly. Because, exactly. Well, and then you have people too, like my sister, who are like their birthday is December 27th. So it's like, like she's had a whole lifetime of
not
being an afterthought as far as her birthday goes.
I sent her this meme this year. I think it was just like a picture of someone cutting a cake or whatever, and it just said, "Happy birthday, nobody cares."
Yeah.
Because it's just like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Katie and Micah Peterson, their son Eben, is born on Christmas Day, and so they celebrate it in the summer. I think they do.
Yeah.
Yes, I think she meant. Yeah,
yeah.
They're
smart.
I have friends whose birthday is on their twin brothers, and their birthday's on the 26th, I think, of December.
Yeah.
So it's like they don't even get to share it with Jesus. Everyone like takes their shot for Jesus, and then the next day it's like the two of you get to split whatever's left over.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's harsh. Yeah. When Kelly and I first got married, as ministry people, like one of the first things we decided is we just don't do this stuff on Sunday. There's just too much else going on. And even if we've got the rest of the day free after Sunday morning, we don't have the energy to properly celebrate a birthday or an anniversary or whatever else. In fact, for probably the first 12 or 14 years of our marriage, I think we had a streak of never being in the same town on our anniversary. Wow. There was always something going on. We were married in early August, and one or the other of us was usually away at something. And we just leaned into that, like, let's celebrate those things, but when it works, and try to make it relatively close to the actual time. This summer's our 25th anniversary, and we'll go away for a couple of weeks, but like a month before that, because that's just when it works. And I think you're setting yourself up for a lot of heartbreak, but I would, like, if you try to stick to that day, or you're rushing them, or life just isn't always that flexible. But I always would laugh sometimes when I had staff working for me and they'd say something about like taking the day off because it's their birthday or whatever. I'm like, hey, if you don't have anything else going on and you want to schedule a vacation day, fill your boots. But like, you're a grown up. You don't get your birthday off. Like, it's not a thing. But I also, I would say, sort of like with the first thing we talked about, acknowledge it on the day. Like if it's your wife's birthday and you've got a plan to do some wowzer dowser thing 3 days from now, or you did a wowzer dowser thing 3 days before, at least that morning, hey, happy birthday, right? Like,
it would behoove you.
Yes, it would behoove you to at least acknowledge it, I think. But yeah, I don't know. Again, I would say if you are, again, we're talking birthdays, anniversaries, if there's someone really close to you, spouse, whatever else, that are really big on it being on the day, that's one I think I would almost negotiate on. Like more so than like, if Mother's Day is a really big thing to you, then on Mother's Day we'll find time to do something, or I'll, whatever, give you a gift that day or whatever. But I feel like if you're going to do some sort of actual celebration, I would be negotiating.
Also, get over yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
If you're gross enough that like you get your feelings hurt because it's not the exact day or the exact way you want, then do it for yourself because it's really what you want anyway.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
don't build yourself up to be the like master of your own universe.
Oh, and again, I think too, like it is to what you're saying, Kari, it is like, depending on why the reason is that you can't do it that day, like the notion that other people should completely rearrange their whole life, right? Like it's one thing if, I just can't be bothered, or like, if it was your wife's birthday and you're like, it's going to be a good fishing day. I don't think but if you've got to work or you've got an appointment or you've got like something going on, or it's the middle of the week and the kids have 17 activities you got to get them to, like, get over it. Just do it on a day you can actually enjoy it.
This might have been the first Valentine's Day that Melanie and I weren't together in 22 years. So
Kelly and I had our first ever date on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
It's about the only like typical thing we've ever done.
Since then, it's been all off.
We're pretty weird. But even then, though, for that date, we ate fiddleheads and watched Children of the Corn. So again, not a classic first date.
We're doing a fair bit of unsolicited advice. Do you want to jump into It Would Behoove You?
Yeah.
So one of our segments, we like to take opportunity to give. Let me get that sound bite.
It would behoove you.
Yeah, it's there somewhere. So we have in the month of February, anyway, at King's, we were doing a focus on family. And so we figured, why don't we do It Would Behoove You family edition and or marriage, something that would be beneficial to the families or
Marriage
marriages.
hacks, parenting hacks.
Yeah.
Things you should do.
What do you got?
Good advice. This is something that I wish we would have figured out earlier in terms of like with our kids. But as your kids get older and their schedules get busier and they're coming and going all the time and that sort of thing, something we've just stumbled along recently with the last kid that we have at home is a weekly family meeting. Like 20 minutes. It's not a big, long thing. Usually it's on Sunday night. But we sit down, we do an intentional check-in, just how you actually doing, how are things, how's life, that kind of deal. Not a big deep dive or a therapy session, but it just guarantees there's at some point there in our fairly busy weeks where we, look each other in the eye and see how each other are doing. And then we just talk like schedule and logistics. Where do you need to get to this week? Like you get into that phase of parenting where you're basically a full-time taxi service, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to avoid the whole, okay, we've got a plan for the day. And then all of a sudden the kid's like, well, yeah, but I need to be so and so. And so basically the deal is you are responsible to be aware of your schedule when we come into that meeting for the week. And whatever you say you need to do that week, we'll do everything we can to make happen. But if you come with something midweek, if we can, we can. If we can't, we can't. But I think it kind of helps kids to realize, and again, I'm talking, this would be like later teen years and that kind of thing, but it just helps them to get in the habit too of being aware of what their schedule is and planning their weeks out and also just keeps the increasing freedom they have from becoming an increasing, what's the word I'm looking for? Complication to our lives, right? Yeah. So if you got to be such and such a place Wednesday night, we'll figure out how to get you there. If you tell us Sunday.
Yeah.
If you tell us Wednesday afternoon, No guarantees, right?
Yep.
And then usually we just take a little bit of time for just some like affirmation and encouragement. You know, what are you doing well? What do we see in you that's great? You know, what's our encouragement for kind of moving forward? So yeah, weekly family meeting.
I like that.
Quick check-in, talk about schedule, logistics, mechanics, all that kind of just operational stuff. It's also when we'll, you know, again, we're at an age now, or our kids are at an age now, like the next one of these we have, we'll probably let them know we're going away for 2 weeks in July. So you're going to want to let us know what you need for 2 weeks worth of groceries for meals you're going to be cooking for yourself, because we're going away. Again, the son that's at home is an adult at this point, but I mean, young adult, but you know, we're not leaving a child at home alone. No one needs to call the Department of Family Services or
He'll be
anything.
eating grilled cheese for a couple weeks.
He'll do some pizzas. He'll do some noodles. He'll have 2 bananas. You know, he'll be fine. But yeah, that's the thing we stumbled upon pretty late, but it's been really just helpful for us.
I like it. Carrie?
One of the things that I've been aware is just I have 2 boys, and 12 and 14. And so just creating space to allow mischief.
Yeah.
Like, I can be a control freak and want to keep things in order and quiet. And that's just not part of parenting.
Especially boys.
No, it's not. And I don't want them to be wieners.
Yeah.
Like I want them to be able to have like their own personality and to be able to like even push back and not just to be robots. And so I realized when they were pretty young that like creating like safe space for mischief is actually super important.
Yep.
At least for boys.
Yep.
And it's
Boys got a range, right?
Yeah.
Like I think in that it's a great book actually for moms too, called Fathered by God. If you have boys, it's by John Eldredge, and he talks about the 5 stages of like male development, and like stage 1 is beloved son, and then stage 2 is like ranger or cowboy, where like teenage boys just they actually need to get in trouble.
yeah.
They actually need to like bump up against boundaries and consequence, and maybe do dumb stuff that they have to live with after, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like
Break a bone.
yeah, it's kind of critical. So like
Touch an electric fence.
yeah, it goes to like ranger or like cowboy, and then I think after that it's warrior. Like they need to find a cause, and then it's king and lover, and then sage. I guess that's 6. But yeah, very good book. It would behoove you to read that book.
There you go.
So it's called Fathered by God, John Eldredge. So I like that. That's good. Mine would be the value of trips. Just taking a trip with
to the
Backstreet Boys. You know, like, no, particularly with your kids while they're still in the house and you're able to afford. Hopefully, you can afford. It doesn't have to be flying somewhere, but like just getting out of the regular routine. I think, you know, when I think about my childhood, my parents, you know, I think they sacrificed a fair bit, you know, to take us, you know, whether it's to Florida or, you know, Vermont when we were younger. And I think my parents maybe had less disposable income, right? We went to Santa's Village, right? Or
I
like,
remember Santa's
yeah,
Village.
man, like that. And as a kid, you know, your kids don't really know the difference between the fact that you spent $5,000 to go to Disney for a day,
No, they don't.
or Santa's or $50 to go to the Fredericton exhibition. Like it's just the memory of the experience, and so doing those things, I think those are the stuff like kids will remember. They won't remember the clothes maybe you put on their backs or like the day in day out. They'll appreciate that when they're older and they're doing it for their own kids. But the memories they'll have are usually those out of the ordinary. We went to such and such a place, or we did a camping trip, or, you know, I just had a speaking request for a weekend that I've got already booked to do like a, you know, father-son's fishing trip, you know, and it was something I wanted to do. Like, it was like, I'm not missing that to go do that speaking thing, you know? So it's like, I think those, and how many more of those weekends will I get with my boys that they'll actually want to go do that or be able to go do that. So I think fighting to make those experiences, it's so inconvenient and it's so much easier to just stay in the rhythm of the regular, but breaking up the regular and doing like something different. It costs money, it costs time. It's usually a headache. You usually need a vacation after the vacation, all those things. But over time, like you, I know you guys are going on a cruise in March break, right? Like that, like your kids will remember that always, even though you're probably gonna have no money after that, right? Like
Now
you
or
know,
after.
so but it's like it's one of those calculated, you know, costs that I think over time the return is actually later, I think.
Yeah.
Like it's not actually the experience. It's I think back to my childhood and it's like the best memories I have with my family are usually not actually at home. They're
I mean, I think
we
there's
went
just
somewhere.
there's a basic psychology to that of the experiences that are out of the ordinary are the ones.
Yeah.
Like the ordinary blurs together.
Yep.
And now the other side of that is there's something to be said for very consistent rhythms. Like those create a memory the opposite way. Like they drill it in like every day we did, or, you know, every Sunday we whatever. But yeah, when I think of my childhood memories, the things I remember the most clearly were experiences that my dad particularly made sure I got,
Yep.
you know, hunting, fishing, traveling, going with him to speaking engagements, road trips, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that with speaking to I took Ava to a conference I did in Waterloo, took Aiden to Toronto to a conference I did. I'm taking Alex to Edmonton here next month. So just trying to make those memories while you can, right?
Totally.
So and
So you
man,
realize how short it gets.
it's crazy. Like Ava's gonna be in college next year, so
Right.
it's like, yeah, man, you just take advantage of the chance you got to make those memories, you know, while they're little, is huge. So I wanted to actually, before we get into Kari's story, which I just want, we'll just give some space for Kari to tell her testimony or story, which I think is gonna be encouraging to people. Bonus, just off the cuff conspiracy corner. While we have Kari in the back corner,
Is this gonna be?
I don't know. I want to ask, what's the most paranormal, just conspiratorial out there experience you've ever had? What's have you ever seen a Nephilim?
Nope.
A
Not that I
UFO?
can-
A
I mean,
ghost?
you grew up in Colorado. Like weird stuff happens there.
Yeah, that's all full of demons
Yeah.
and new agey
Like,
weirdos.
and like the Illuminati are there, and like
I mean, it's all there.
Focus on the
You go hiking
family.
and you find like shrines and
the Denver airport. All
hey,
that
there's
stuff.
a lot with the Denver airport. That's a
Totally.
fun one.
Do you know any of it?
I do.
Okay.
So the Denver airport is, and I'm not saying I believe all of this,
Just
but this is what it
regurgitating
is. Yes.
the
so
lore.
the Denver airport has 4 runways, and
Yes.
they are in the shape of a swastika. And so
I have seen that and heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like, and the airport says, well, it's because it's in a place where there's a lot of weather, and so it allows planes to take off.
But they could have done it the opposite
Probably-
direction.
probably,
they
yeah,
could have
probably
made it
coulda.
go.
Well, and
Something.
that's true in every airport. That's why they crisscross the runways, right? So you can always come in.
But not in Denver.
Not in Denver.
Nine.
Do you want us just to crisscross them? 9.
Yeah. And there's tunnels underneath the airport,
That's
which a lot
the
of
word.
airports there are. But this one, they say that there's like lizard people who live in the tunnels.
We call them reptilians. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
And then there's like weird artwork, and they have like
Yes.
gargoyles and like it just is a weird air. It really is a weird airport.
And it's a relatively new airport
Yeah,
too. So
it's
like,
not-
why are there gargoyles?
Yeah, you
like you
can't-
made
you
this in
can't play the
1970.
well in the-
and
Right.
like the airport it doesn't fit because it's actually, it looks like a giant like circus tent.
Yeah, it's a big tent.
Like
yeah.
it's very modern looking, and then it has like these like scary gargoyles and where you
weird.
pick up your luggage, and the artwork. There's like, it's supposed to be like a picture of like what the world should try to fight against in peace, I guess, but it's like violent artwork all over the walls. Like,
So that's what they say it's about. but
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
but the best part is that there's a giant like bronco, like horse
Yes.
that's in the front of the airport, and it's like this massive like 20-foot tall like rearing back
Yep.
bronco, and its nickname is Blucifer
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
because it's blue. It's like a blue like piece of artwork, but it has like neon glowing red eyes. And so even just by looking at it, it looks weird. And so like, why would they want it to look like
Yeah.
that? But the artist that was commissioned to make this piece of artwork that for the airport, and why is it at the airport? I don't know why it's at the airport, but the artist that was commissioned to make it, he two accidents happened while he was making it. So the first one, he like got hurt fairly bad and had to like go to the hospital. I don't remember what happened on the first one. I think maybe it broke apart or fell apart. I'm not sure on that one. But then, and this this is a real person, so I shouldn't laugh at this. But then it, like as he was finishing it up, like the head or something of it fell off and fell on him and killed him.
And then
so,
they finished it and put it up?
Yeah, and with the glowing red eyes and all. And so his family or somebody within his like art company had to like finalize it to like put it out. But so I don't know the real name of it, but everybody calls it Blucifer.
Oh my goodness. So while you were talking initially, I'm going to be through the Denver airport in here in a few weeks, and I was going to get a selfie with Blucifer. But now that I know that he's already killed one
from about 20 feet away.
Yeah, I'm not going near him. That's Denver airport. Look it up. Do the deep dive.
So what do you think the deal is though? Like, do you think it's just a bunch of weird artsy people decided to make it, or do you think there is some sort of like?
I mean, I think in Colorado there is a lot of like just new agey tie-ins and just it's a spiritual hub of sorts, and for the Christian world and for others too. Like and so I think that it's probably like, do I think there's lizard people living in the tunnels? I don't know. They're probably drug addicts if there are. Yeah. But like, is there something to it? I think there's probably a little bit more to it than anybody would like to admit.
I've wondered like if it's literally a high place. Right? Like you're literally, even just to get, like when you land in Denver, you're on a plane. Like, well, you're on a plane.
Really?
You can only get these kind of insights here on the back corner.
On the planes, right? Like, and it's flat, but you're also way above sea level, right? And then you go up into the mountains. So it is a literal high place. And I've wondered like if that makes it a little thinner, both for like, there's a lot of, like to your point, Kari, there's a lot of good kingdom stuff that comes out of there, like a lot of leading voices in the church, a lot of healthy, great churches are there. But there's also a lot of real weird stuff that happens there. So I just wondered if it's just one of those thinner places, maybe because it's high. I don't know. Like
I mean, maybe there's just a lack of oxygen, so people are more susceptible to dumb ideas.
that could be as well.
Little column A, little column B.
And they say that it's cursed too because of like everything out west is built on an Indian burial ground.
Well,
like they say
is it all of Colorado or the airport?
The airport specifically, like they literally had to, I think, move. Maybe it's rumor, I don't know, move some stuff because of where it's built. But
I always just when I'm there, just think of like, man, the Comanches were like ripping around here. You know, if I was here 80 years ago, I'm not like maybe 100. Yeah, you know, there were still like the most fearsome group of Indians there are. So look up the Comanches, man. They were the ones. They were the top of the pecking order. Cool fun fact about that, if we still have listeners. The Comanches were the runt of the American like Native Indians. Like they were for centuries. They were like they were by stature the smallest, and they were like bullied into where they lived, you know, like they didn't have the best area. And then when the Spanish introduced horses, they had this natural like knack with them, both to ride them, both to ride them and to breed them. Yeah. And they became the superpower of, you know, the Native American Indians. So by the time of the American West being conquered, they were the hardest ones to conquer because they were the undisputed top of the heap, you know, and basically they would have basically won the West if it wasn't for the invention of the revolver. Yeah, because they could get off like 3 or 4 arrows before one guy could reload a musket or one of those. So it was the revolver. The revolver won the West basically. Yeah. That changed everything. Where now, you know, the Americans could pop them off pretty quick.
What was that old line about God made man and woman and Samuel Colt made them equal?
Yeah. Exactly.
You ever seen videos of Mongolian archers on horseback?
Same idea though, right?
Oh no, totally. Yeah. But I mean, except for several hundred years earlier, but it's wild what those guys can do.
Well, I mean, it's always been the one who had the best technology ends up winning the wars.
And horses are functionally a technology.
Absolutely. And
the ones that were beat down a little too. to give them the drive, like
Yeah.
the ones that were.
Yeah, like the kid that was bullied on the
Right.
reset on the playground. Then is like got
We've all
this-
seen Karate Kid. We know how this goes.
Yeah, exactly right. So check out the Denver airport.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to know more about the Comanches, there's a book called Empire of the Summer Moon, I believe, and it's very interesting.
You're so book ready.
Yeah, well, in some ways, yeah.
I love it.
So, well, Kari, we wanted to have you on here. I've heard your story a couple of different times, bits and pieces, but it'll be cool to hear it kind of in a more long form. But give us kind of your testimony, and let's start there, and then we'll kind of leap around as questions come and stuff. But like, I one thing I'd say as we kind of come into this is like, you are one of the people there's a handful of people that have to me, they are just walking billboards of the power of God and the sovereignty of God over someone's life, and like what God has not just done in you, but now like through you and through your ministry, and like the amount of people that you're impacting is more than what those people know too, right? Like there's people that are kind of front and center, like myself. People see AJ a lot, but day in, day out, I don't know if there's anybody that's moving the dial or the ball at Kings like you are. Like just the load you carry and the logistics and the giftedness you have. Like we really wouldn't be where we are doing what we're doing without you. And to go back to think what you've come through and the journey you've been on, like it is a real just walking testimony to the power of God in someone's life. And it gives me a lot of hope and confidence to not write anybody off either. Like, yeah, obviously I want like the families at King's Church. I want you to be a good nuclear family. I want you to have a good marriage. I want you to not be addicted to drugs so that you can raise your kids. I think kids have an advantage, but man, that said, we have a lot of testimonies of people that have come out of maybe disadvantage when it comes to a spiritual standpoint, or even life for that matter, where just God said, nope, I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna just redeem you and I'm gonna use you. And you are top of the heap of people in my life that I'm like, yeah, God really can just do anything through anyone. And so to give the dozens the Kari Broad story with all that to say.
That's quite the lead up. Yeah, so I didn't grow up in a typical nuclear family that like a lot of people would describe. Like even when you guys were talking about like, oh, like my parents did this and memories and all of those things, like I don't always relate to all those things directly because that's just not completely is that what mine looked like. So my parents, like I love them dearly, and I am, even before I get started, like still, like I just was visiting my family just a couple weeks ago and still connected with them, but like they just have had it rough. Like my parents have been addicts their whole lives. And I don't just mean like, oh, they dabble in hard drugs, like really like life consumed by their addictions. And but like they were young when they started having kids, and like you can trace it back to see like why things end up the way that they do.
Where are you in the birth order?
So there's 6 kids in my family, and I'm the 4th in line. So I have 3 older brothers, and then me, a little sister, and a little brother. So 4 boys, 2 girls. So my life's just surrounded by guys all the time. In my home,
And
at work.
now as well, yeah.
And so like growing up, it was like it wasn't ever consistent one way or the other, but it was rough. Like there was just a lot of like hurts and neglect. Like my older siblings, like my whole life, like in and out of jail, like as they were teenagers, young teenagers. And just very tumultuous, like fighting and just brokenness. And that just meant that things just looked different than typically for like what a family might look like. And there was a lot of, and with it, like not intentional, like my parents weren't malicious or mean people, but just a lot of neglect and just a lack of care for us as kids. And so even when I, excuse me, was a little girl, like my older siblings, they all like moved out or got put into a facility at a pretty young age. And so I was like, I am the fourth in line, but like, I feel like I have a snippet where like I was the youngest for a long time because there's a pretty big distance between me and my younger sister. But for the majority of the time I was at home, I was functioning as the oldest because the older siblings weren't around or they weren't in that role at all. And so that just meant like there was times where like we were homeless for a big portion of my childhood, or at least like moving from home to home.
Just kind of like squatting, kind of like different people's
Sometimes,
places.
yeah, like literal like sleeping in parks, or maybe like putting up a tent in like public space that we won't get kicked out of, or not having access all the time to food.
Did like child welfare ever get involved in that?
No, and like we knew enough to not. Like as a kid, like the biggest thing that I don't know if it was my parents drilled it in me or if it was just from like just instinct, but that I saw that as the enemy. That like if you get put in the system, then you don't get out type of thing. And so even in like places and spaces where that might have happened a little bit more, like we didn't talk about it at school if we were in school, or we didn't like, we knew enough not to answer those questions. And it wasn't all like that 24/7, but for like the majority of my childhood, it would be much like that.
And the ebb and flow with kind of how active your parents' addiction was at the time?
Yeah, like their addiction was fairly always active, but it just, I guess, with what they were using, it would be a big part of it. And like if my parents were just potheads, life would have been nice. Like, but it's not. That wasn't the case. And so like even like if they were strung out like on methamphetamines, like where it was a big part of it, or just alcohol too, that like that became their focus, and that became the thing that was like the focus in their life. And so I always joke around about that. Like I always felt like with my parents, it was a bit of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Like when I came home from school or whatever, like that I didn't know quite what I was walking into, and I could tell like there's markers of like being able to tell as soon as I opened the door, and it would just be what you walked into. And so it might be then that means they're not hungry, so they don't think about feeding you for like multiple days in a row. Or they spend all their money on those things, and thus we get evicted out of our homes. Like we like rentals and getting evicted all the time. Like by the time I was in middle school, I'd been to 14 different schools.
Whoa.
And so the only year that I started and finished in the same year, like at the same school, was kindergarten and then grade 6.
Wow.
And so there was a lot of like, I was always the new kid if I was going to school. There was a big portion of that, like where I might have started at school, was there for a month, and then don't go to school for 3 months type of thing.
Wow.
So what are you doing in those times when your parents aren't feeding you? You guys just straight up going hungry? Are you going to food banks, shelters? Like how's that happen?
So that's the interesting thing is it wasn't consistently one way or the other. Like they might be days where they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so we make do. So that might be like as a little girl, me figuring out like feeding my younger brother and sister, or like finding stuff if there's food in the cupboards. But it then might be as a family, then like after they've come down, have to go to like food banks and those sort of programs, and or like literal like panhandling, or there's even sometimes where we went behind grocery stores. We knew when they put out produce, and we'd be able to go and like figure that out. And then there'd be other times where like my dad had a good job and they were keeping it in the rails, and we thought we were living like kings. And so the inconsistency actually was probably harder than living in one way or the other.
You never know what to expect.
Yeah, you always just are always waiting for that other boot to fall, or that like other thing to happen, or like don't get too attached to your friends because they're not going to be there.
What's your like now being like on the other side of it, raising your own family, getting a chance to do things in a way that you didn't experience, as you look at some of like we see it here in Atlantic Canada, like the tent towns, and obviously there's like huge demand on food banks and stuff. When you see that, like, I never utilized any of those programs. I did not grow up like that at all. Like, what's your feeling when you see that? Because it's got to be complicated. Because on the one hand, you're seeing the need that good people are meeting, whether it's food banks or government programming and that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, you also have been, maybe seeing the dark side of that as well. Like, how do you process that when you see it?
Yeah, it's not as clear cut as it might seem, because it is good. Those are good things, but there also can be wasteful things.
Yeah.
Or just even the word's escaping, but like almost enabling them to like people to do more. And the way I look at it is, for the most part, like if kids are involved, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
And so that's like, I can 100% jump in and help, even if I'm like, okay, those parents, like if they would have done this, this, and this, they could have set up their family right. Or if they would have done like these things, or if they could get a job, or they could do all these things that we have all those arguments for. But in the end, like if there's kids involved, like that's not on me. Like,
and we as Christians need to err on, like Jesus is pretty clear on, hey, you gave me something to drink. It's been cool. It's been interesting to watch, because like people might not know this, but Kari's the one that really runs point on our Love Week initiatives. So like all of that, like where's the money going? Like, her and I, and we work together on that, but ultimately it comes down to her really running point. And it's been interesting to watch, you do get into gray area when you're doing these good works, where it's like, I don't know if this family that we're helping are really gonna like take this and use it to its full benefit. And it's like, man, sometimes you just kind of have to like surrender it to God, and know that you're doing something the best you can and hoping. But like I always watch you, because you're a little more aware of, I know what you're doing, it's like with our Christmas blessing, we've had to figure out ways that, some families will just take advantage of the system, where it's like, you put your name in for this church and this church. And not only did you get one Christmas, you got 4 Christmases, because you're milking the programming. Right. And it's like, it's been interesting to watch you, because both sides of it, and having to process and like maybe even guard your heart in all that.
Yeah, I have to probably be a little bit more, try to walk into it a little bit more naive than I even want to.
Right.
To be honest, because I can get caught up in that and be like, okay, like I can see what you're doing. I can get the read on that stuff a little quicker maybe than some, just from experience.
Yeah.
And just from being on the other end and seeing that. But again, the kids, like most of the stuff where we do stuff, it involves kids, because those are safe investments regardless.
One of the things I love about that passage you referenced, Brent, was it Matthew 25 or whatever, I was hungry and you fed me, it's like I was in prison and you visited me. So like it takes away the argument that these are good people who just fell on hard times. It's like, like he was in, I was in prison for preaching the gospel. You're like, no, I was in prison, right? And I do think there is something to be said for being wise stewards of the resources we have. And certainly I think there's ways you can, because you're not paying any attention, you can actually do more harm than good. But at the same time, I think, like again, in that passage, Jesus doesn't say, I was hungry and you gave me something to eat and I used it appropriately and that set me on a whole new trajectory. And you know what I mean? Like it's more about the love and the heart behind it. And so even if you're doing it for someone who maybe is taking advantage, or somebody who like, you get this all the time with like, what if they use it to buy alcohol or whatever? It's like, I think you still communicated love. Like they maybe didn't care. They maybe did use you and take advantage of you, but somewhere in there you've got to figure out how to balance all that.
There's a place for wisdom and like shrewd management. I actually think like having Kari kind of at the running point for us in that has made us better at, we're not going to give to that group, or we're going to focus on this one. So I do think there's a place for wise management, but if you ever get to the place where in your heart, you have this kind of stingy sort of, I'm unwilling to help people. Like I'll give to panhandlers, not because I'm delusional about what they're going to do with it. It's like, I don't want to be that guy that can walk by, like just need that I actually have the capacity to help. And whether they use it properly or not is not on me. What is on me is, do I have compassion? It is tough though. There is a gray area there. There's a book called, I read it years ago when I did my first mission trip ever, called When Helping Hurts. that's worth reading because it
Yeah.
does at least give you a framework to realize that just throwing money at things doesn't necessarily fix the problem.
Yeah.
So, but
I think there's a difference between trying to ascertain how you can use whatever resources you have to accomplish the most actual good and beginning to play the game of who deserves
yeah,
this, right?
That's it. Yeah.
And to me, it always comes to like, if I have $20 and my option is to give it to a panhandler or not, I'll probably give it to a panhandler, but that's not my option is to give it to a panhandler or use it to sponsor a compassion child or to give it to the Salvation Army and so in those situations, I think there's something to be said for going, all right, what is the strategic best investment of this to help people? But if you get into the whole, just like that person's not good enough to get my help, or that person, you move from wise stewardship to judgmentalism at some point there, and you got to be aware of your own heart enough to know where you're at.
So you've been to 14 schools, and you're kind of like, pick us back up.
So to back up a little bit before that, like a big part where like things started to shift was like we were moving around, and not just moving around, but like I grew up in the States, and we were moving from state to state a little bit in that too. And we had made a move where literally in the middle of the night got woke up, and my mom said, okay, we're leaving, and like handed me like a Walmart, like the bags that are illegal now that we can't get from stores, but like a Walmart plastic bag, and said, put your stuff in it. And so literally being woke up in the middle of the night, and there was some stuff going on with like just some legal stuff going on. And we just packed up and just went into a van and drove literally from Colorado to California and showed up at my mom's sister's, like an aunt's house. And in that, like things were rough before that, and then it just kind of tanked even worse. And my
Some of
parents
that dysfunction that your parents had, was that common to their family system, or were they kind of the odd ones out in that? Like, was your aunt also a little bit of a mess, or were things good there?
On my mom's side, there would be a little bit of that. The aunt where we showed up, not as much, but there's addictions and stuff riddled through her family. She's from a big family. There's like 9 of them.
Oh, wow.
And on my dad's side, lots of alcohol, like addictions and stuff going on there. And so, yes, definitely, but not necessarily in the same level. And then some would be worse. Like my mom had a brother who like ended up getting murdered because of like drug issues and stuff like that. And so like it's a wide range of issues for sure. But we showed up in California. So at this point I was probably like 8 years old. And my 3 older brothers too they were all adults. My oldest one had like kids and his like girlfriend and stuff. Like it was like a caravan, like all went. Wow. And just to have like a place to start over. And it wasn't a start over because that's where my parents were originally from. Okay. Like I was born in California and then we moved type of thing. And so I think they were just trying to get back to family and just were grasping at like, what do we even do here? And so things just kind of like continued for the next couple of years just to kind of get worse. And did
your parents ever try like rehab or anything anywhere in there?
No. Like that's a thing that I think that we don't realize is like there's a line below even people that even realize that that's even an option. Like they don't have any hope for anything better. And like, so for them to even have that, even if they had the resource to like that, it's only rich people that get through rehab.
You gotta be in a certain like bracket just to even have that as an option.
Yeah. And so, and then like, or even to want it though too, because like,
and once you have kids, often going to rehab means the kids go into the system.
Yeah. Like, and when I was a kid, rehab wasn't even, that was like a celebrity thing. And now it's more accessible and, which is awesome because it's giving people actual tools to work through things. But no. And even now for my parents, that just wouldn't be a part of their rhythm of like, or even ability to even desire something more. And I think that's because that's their escapism. And so they don't want to engage with life. They want to like,
I want to quit this.
Yeah. Like it just is, that means you have to feel it.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I've realized that that's part of their thing and who they are. And my mom was 15 years old when she had her first kid. She didn't have a chance to grow up herself. And my dad was just a couple years older than that. And so I actually do have tons of compassion for what landed them where they're at type of thing.
You probably see things now on this side of it too, that you maybe even appreciate knowing the struggles that they have, like the fact that they are still together.
Yeah.
And like that you even have a relationship with them. Like it's not all, it's not all critique.
I've realized that more and more, and especially in this stage, like in the last couple of years, like I feel like it's gone through, like I tried to get through what I was in and I wanted to overcome it in spite of it type of thing when I was younger. And my younger sister, she always jokes around and she would always say, Kari, you're the white sheep of the family. She said, like, a lot of families have black sheep. She goes, you're the white sheep in the family of black sheep. And so like, I think that was my own rebellion though. In that, and I think now I can see God's drive in that, just to say, like, I'm not going to settle for those things, and I'm not going to, like, that's not going to be my life, and that, so there was a drive in there that I had, that to not conform, because that was my world, and if I was in a different family, it might have been the opposite, right? And so I think that there's a little rebellious streak that God put in me that He used for the right thing in that.
So you're in California, you're 8 years old, you're living with your aunt and everyone you've ever known.
Yeah. And, but then like that breaks apart really fast. And so like there's a bunch in between, but eventually we end up like homeless. And that's around the time that we like might have like slept in a tent in like somewhere that wasn't ours, or slept in a car, or like slept at a friend's house, or stayed for a week or two at like a biker club, like literal things like that. Like, and so it was mostly just me and my younger siblings at this point. The older ones, like, were either like
we're out.
Yeah, they're in a different picture, living with someone else or whatever. And so even in that like time of like homelessness, like we ended up with like an RV, like an old school, like Breaking Bad style, like literally looked like the Breaking Bad RV, and we like lived in it. And so there was a bit of that.
Complete with methamphetamine.
Yes. Maybe not making it, but yes. And so like, but in that there's also like things that were awesome. Like we went to like Disneyland.
That's you had an experience.
Yeah. And like, or even like going to like RV parks, but then also like a lot of junk in the middle of that too, and just a lot of like fighting. Like my parents fought a lot, like viciously, and but then eventually that RV broke down because it was not like that great of a machine, and it ended up in like like a field in the middle of California, like and we lived there literally with like no running water, no sewage, no electricity, and it sucked. Like that was scary. Like I like always
knew that this is not good.
Yeah. Like, and so I was like 9 probably at that, I don't know, or 10 maybe, probably around 9 or so. And my parents, like they were together but not together. Like they were a mess, and they weren't doing life together at all. But like there was also times in that like we might be on our own for a while, because like they would take off and the other would take off, and like I think they both tried to convince themselves that the other one was coming home. Wow. And so we might be on our like own overnight, or like for all day, and like as in like my sister was 3 during that time, and my younger brother was 1. We didn't have diapers, and most of the time didn't have diapers. And so just trying to figure out, okay, so what does this mean? What does this look like?
And so you're in the caretaker role.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. And so like there's a gas station. If you walk through this field in the neighborhood, there's a gas station that they don't have a lock on the back door, because like California, you have to go out and get like the keys a lot to get in the bathrooms, to be able to get in there and get like use the bathroom, wash up, get water, that sort of thing. And so just figuring a lot of that out, or figuring that out with my parents, and then having to like continue it. But then one of the hardest things that ended up happening, that I thought at the time, that now I look back and say was probably one of the strongest things. My mom ended up coming home, or no, she came home, and she was sleeping. She woke up the next day, and for the first time, I just felt like even looking back now, like I just remember it was her. that I hadn't seen my mom in a long time, like just sober a little bit, and just that she could see us a little bit more. And my mom, when she's sober, is the best mom in the world. Like, she was like caretaker extraordinaire. Like, she's a great cook. She like would, through service, like love her family well. But then it would go the other way. But she just woke up, and I could just see like this just brokenness and sadness in her eyes. And she said, same thing, just said, okay, get some stuff. We're going to go. And she didn't really say like where we were going. And so like I remember like seeing my feet like walking, and I didn't have shoes on, and like walking down the sidewalk, and my sister was like walking next to me, and my mom had my brother on her hip, and we're walking, and I kept being like, where are we going? And I knew something was like quite big happening. And I said, I kept asking, where are we going? She was just kind of blowing me off and brushing me off and not really saying. And then all of a sudden she just sits down on the curb for us to like take a rest in the shade. It was like hot summer California. And she just started bawling. And my mom's she's a hard woman. Yeah. Like, she's not a crier. She's not one of emotions. And she just started crying. And she said, so I'm taking you back to the same aunt that we showed up at her house a year or two before that, and said, like, I'm taking you to your aunt's house, and you're going to go play with your cousins. And she said, then I'm leaving, and I'm not coming back.
Oh, wow.
And so then I would like try to convince her, of course, because again, my goal was to keep us together. Yeah. And I was just like, no, like, well, I'll help. I remember saying, I'll help more, I'll do more. Like, we can do this. And she said, no, like, she said, you guys deserve more, and I can't do it for you. And she said, so I'm gonna take you there, and you're gonna play with your cousins, and I'm gonna leave. And I just remember she said, and she goes, a lot of people are gonna say a lot of bad things about me. She said, most would probably be true. But if anybody ever tries to say I don't love you, like, it's not true.
Wow.
Like, I love you. And so I just like cried. We were just walking, and I was crying, and we made it to my aunt's house. It was like walked all day, and went to play with my cousins. They were outside, and so I did what I was told, and went to play with them. And my mom went inside, and a little bit later she came outside, and I can still see the visual picture of her walking down the driveway with like out the gate. They had a big gate, and not looking back, and just kept walking. And like, it took I was on a swing set. It took everything inside of me not to run after her.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it all. I was little.
Yeah.
But and then the crazy part was that my aunt comes out a little bit later. She's like, "Where's your mom?"
Oh, wow.
And I didn't realize that she didn't tell her, and she didn't ask her. And so my aunt was she has her own stuff going on in her own life, but she was a godsend in that moment. And she said, okay. And she said, let's get in the car. Let's go get some of your stuff. Let's go get your clothes. So we drove to where my mom, like back to the RV where my mom was. And she agreed to keep us. And at this point, my dad was in jail during this time. Like, he wasn't in the picture at all. So I think that was part of it. My mom was just like, I have nothing left. I don't know what to do anymore. And so my aunt took us in. She got us back in school. My sister started kindergarten. And for the first time in a long time, I'd been in like a school for a bit and was like actually learning stuff. And we were there, I don't even know, to be honest, how long, but for like a significant amount of time, we stayed there. And then eventually my dad got out of jail, and same thing, they always said he just wanted to start over. And so he said, okay, we're moving back to Colorado. And so he decided to take my youngest brother with him, because on the Greyhound bus, you could take him as a lap kid and take a Greyhound bus from California back to Colorado. And that was hard because it was like taking my actual baby with him. And he said, I'll send for you later. And so I never knew. Would he not? I don't know. My oldest brother was living back in Colorado again, too. And eventually he did. And so my sister and I ended up back there with just my dad. My mom, I have no idea where she was in this time. And so eventually my mom, like, to make it long story, a little bit shorter, but eventually my mom ended up back in the picture, came for a visit, but then never left. And so we were all back in like the same space again. And we had a home. Like, at that point forward, we weren't homeless again. and so I was in school and a little bit more consistency. It was like very tumultuous and like violent and neglectful and stuff like that still, but not like without at least a place to stay warm.
Do you find like moving schools that much and being out of school for long periods, like did that make school harder for you because you're missing stuff, or are you just kind of smart enough you could pick it up when you jump back in?
I thought I was stupid. That was like if I was actually joking around about this with Andy the other night. We were talking about how the worst insult you could ever call me is stupid. Like that, they could call me a lot of things, but stupid, because I think it just strikes a nerve, because I felt like I was always a little behind. Yep. And so then, like, even in school, they kind of just marked me as like a certain student because I show up and I didn't really know anything. So I think they thought I had like developmental stuff going on too. So school was a struggle. I liked school in the sense, like, I loved to learn and love the social piece of it too, but it was a struggle. But then as I got older and I could take it up more in my own hands, and I got myself to school, and we moved around, but we stayed in the same city. And so, like, once I was in middle school, like, there was like a huge middle school and a huge high school. So I was able to stay in the same school. Nice. And so, I kind of joke around sometimes. I was like, when I was younger, they thought I had developmental delays, and then I ended up graduating with honors in high school. Like, just like to just work at it. Once I got to a point where I was like, this is a key piece to be able to do that. And so, so school is hard, very hard, but once it clicked, it was a little easier.
So once you get in your teen years, and then some, like, when did kind of, I mean, obviously the Lord was with you the whole way along in your childhood too, but like, when did you clearly did not grow up in a church, church family?
No.
So
we were in Sunday school every week. I missed regular school for months on end.
My dad was a deacon.
Definitely not. There's a couple moments though where the church gets to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Yeah. That those God intersected himself in my life like a couple different times, even in those moments, whether it was because of like churches where you go to get help, or and my parents always like spoke highly of like the church and like Christians are good people type of thing. But even when I was a little girl in like kindergarten, my best friend was a pastor's kid. And so they took me to church, like Sunday school with them for like a few months, probably most of a year probably. And so like, I think that's where laid the foundation of like, there is a God. Yeah. And like this is who Jesus is. But I wasn't convinced he was good. Okay. And so I was always from that point forward very.
How much of that was an intellectual objection, and how much of that was if he was, my life wouldn't be like this?
Totally. Like if you hear things like, oh, God loves you and he never leaves you, and then it's like, I'm
alone.
But yeah, I'm alone and I'm hurting, and like these horrible things are happening. And so how did those two things go together? Yeah. And but then I was always like curious. Like I even remember before my teens, like in the times where things were hard, that I would be like, okay, God, if you're real, and not that this is right, but I would be like, move that branch on that tree. Yeah. Like if you're actually real, then like I was always like God curious because of that. But then when I was in middle school, I ended up had a friend. Her name is Chantel, and she and I became like best friends. And at that point, like I wasn't taking care of my family. My mom was back in the picture, and I was becoming a little bit more. And so I was constantly at her house. I was like spending time at her house with her family, and like just started. That's a stage where like friends become really important, and so like we were inseparable. And so because I was at her house whenever I could, so often in the evenings or every weekend, like we were hanging out with like her neighborhood kid, like the kids in her neighborhood. And there was this kid in the neighborhood who invited us to go to youth group with them. And
you're how old at this point again?
I would have been middle school. And so we got invited to go to youth group, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not going to go to youth group. And then Chantel was like, like, it actually sounds kind of fun. I think I'm going to go. So my choice was I either needed to go to youth group or go home. Right. And so I was like, all right, fine. I guess I'll go to church. And so I went, and this was like the best little church like ever. And they like, it wasn't like this anything huge or flashy, but they were a church that loved their community really, really well. And they loved teenagers really, really well. And like even at like youth group, like the senior pastor would be there quite often, or running youth trips or whatever. His daughter, who's an adult, but she ran like the youth group. And so like I just got involved. Like I kept going because it was fun. And then I think I kept going because it was consistent. Like it was something consistently in my life. And I started to get to know these people and like other kids and like, but the leaders, like it was the adults that intrigued me the most. And then like, even as I started to get to them a little bit more, realizing like, I thought their lives must be perfect. And then realizing that their lives aren't perfect, but they had something I didn't have type of thing. And it wasn't money. And so there was a couple different things. So after I had been going for a while, I was waiting for someone would literally drive me. So I was waiting for like youth group to wrap up, and so that I could get a drive home from one of the leaders. And I was like standing in the lobby, and it was just this little church, and they had like a tiny little like bookstore, like resources that you could go like buy stuff, and like there was Bibles and stuff in there. And I'm just standing there like literally just like spinning the shelf just to like look at what was there, just killing time. And the senior pastor walked up, and he was like, "Hey, Kari." And he saw and his name's Vic, and he's still somebody that's really important in my life. But and he walked up and he said, "Hey, Kari." He said, "What?" He looked at me, and just talking to me. He goes, "Hey, do you have a Bible?" And like I literally, I'm not looking at I'm like spinning them. I'm not really like. Yeah. And I was like, no, not really. And he said, "Oh, just a sec." And so he pulled this like beautiful, beautiful Bible off the shelf, and it was like I guess a student, but it was something for teens. It was like one of like those study Bibles. And he pulled it out and he opened it, and he said, "Just a second." He ran and grabbed a pen, and he wrote like, "To Kari," and he said like, "From your church family," and like, "We love you," everything, and hand me this Bible. And I was like, like I remember even then being floored by that. And he said, "I just want you to know, like, we love you, and we're just so glad that you're here." Wow. And so that was like a marker in that I was like, the first time I felt like, oh, like, this isn't just their place. Like, this is a place for me too. And not that I would have like thought through it in that detail, but just really that's the feeling it left me with. Yeah. And then there was like an intern, like a young adult, who that summer ended up, so this would have been a few years, like I'd been going for a while now, off and on. But she just kind of took me under her wing and just like helped me to be involved in stuff. Like I was able to do and be involved in everything at the church, and like being able to like help out with like kids ministry and camp, but also like help in the office. Or they just always gave me a place, like helped me to show me that like I could have important things to do. Yeah. And the intern's name was Robin, and she just really for the first time kind of broke down like the gospel for me, that it clicked and it made sense with like a stupid illustration with like a mayonnaise jar. But really? It's what clicked, and it helped and made sense. Just like they can clean the outside, but that mayonnaise jar is still, even if it's empty, still messy on the inside. The only work that God can do that. But and so I just realized like if that's like I want that, and what that is Jesus, and in that I can have hope. And so then I was like, okay, this is it. Like if this is what I want. And so like I gave my life to Christ, and I thought, okay, now everything is going to be amazing and my life is going to be perfect, and God's going to take care of me, and it's not going to feel like this anymore. And then in a lot of ways it was opposite, because then I was just on a different trajectory than like my entire family. Right. And not that they were like, they would even come to church with me and stuff sometimes, but they weren't living in that. Right. And so that got really hard. And so it freaked me out. Like, I'm just jumping ahead. It freaked me out. And so I ended up for a while being like, I don't think I can do this. Like, this is just too hard. It's too much. Like, this isn't worth it. Like, is this worth it? I don't think this is worth it. And so I walked away for a bit and just started like kind of doing the teenage thing, jumping into like parties and getting involved in stuff that I always said I wouldn't get involved in. And I just feel like one night, God kind of just showed up in a moment of clarity where I was just like at a party, and I was just watching the chaos that ensues at those kind of things. And I just realized that like I was stepping into and walking down the same path that I'd always said that I would never. And I was like, if this is what it is, and I just knew that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like it was very soon going to be boom.
Isn't it funny that, because like as you're describing that, like I had that moment too, with like a completely different childhood, and yet I still had to like, I was in a party house on UNB, in Fredericton, and like again, a very clarifying moment where like I had this conversation with God while all the party stuff's happening around me, and like God saying like, this is not the direction for your life, you know? So it's kind of interesting to think that whether it's you grow up in a, you know, I mean, I couldn't have had a better, you know, home environment growing up, but a kid still is going to need that, like that moment for them. And like with all you went through, and yet you and I are both kind of in that same crossroads where a person has to make a decision, you know. It just strikes me as interesting. Like, you know, as a dad, you know, I want to give all my kids all the advantages in the world, but they're still going to have that moment for themselves. And same for maybe the kid that grows up like you, like, you know, even with like the difficulty you came through, you still had to have that moment of decision, you know, for you. It's pretty neat to think about that.
Yeah, and that God's faithful in that.
Yeah.
And he's kind in that. And like he shows up in the mess and says, like, is this what you want?
Yeah.
Like,
So speaking of his kindness, how did you end up resolving that tension of like, if God loves me and he's always with me and I grew up like this, with coming to because I know you often talk about God's love and his kindness and like, what was the process of you kind of reconciling those two ideas?
I think first was just to see his love through people. I don't think, because I didn't have a clear picture of what love was, and not like my parents loved me.
Yeah.
Like they very much, even still to this day, like my parents love me as deeply within their ability that they can, but it gave a distorted, like this, what is love type of thing. And so I think having consistent people in my life that like reflected the love of Jesus, that like stepped out or like were consistent or met a need or whatever it was, I think that was the first part of it, and giving it like a place of belonging and just starting to get a picture of like God's kingdom, like in my high school messed up like sort of way, but just to see like I do have a place in this. And so like for me, I think just experiencing like people being the hands and feet of Jesus, I was able to start to understand like his love, and that like it's not like that, and that this is I had to come to the realization that this is a broken, fallen, sinful world. And like that isn't necessarily directly correlated with my sin or like there's injustice in this world. And that like it's not God's plan and design in that. And it's not even that like he causes those things to happen, but it does. I mean, even still, I think it would mess with my mind sometimes where I'm like, but it did, like he allowed it. Like it went through his fingers in some way, like that he allows like it to happen because of the consequences. This is a broken world, and it's not like we're not done. He's not done in this world. And so do I, like, what part do I want to play in that? And
he's kind of bringing clarity maybe through that season of like, you said his kingdom, right? Like maybe showing the difference and even making it clear for you, like you pick, you know, what trajectory do you want to go down? So, you know, you're at that party, there's a clarifying moment. Where does it kind of track from there? Yeah.
So then I just was like 100% like all in.
It was like a conversion kind of, or like a, what's the word? You know, maybe a second work of grace where you know,
maybe not completely, but
but surrender.
There is like like, you know, God gets all of you thing. It's like you know, you get God at your initial maybe conversion, but then there is that process where it's like, there's a moment of, I'm choosing to give myself to you.
That totally. Kind of lordship thing.
And then I just finally felt like rather than trying to hold on to things and like make things work and like be hyper vigilant in life all the time, that like I could rest in him, and that there's still a lot of messed up stuff that happened between then and like on, but like it just, God shifted something in my heart in that, and I had to choose to remember that though.
So through that then, like, let's fast forward a little bit. Like, how did you go from there? Obviously, there wouldn't have been too many years between there and then ending up in New Brunswick. So like, How did
Yeah.
you get here?
Yeah, so I always say that I feel like God tricked me into ministry, and
I say the same thing
like,
too. Yeah.
but in His grace, because I don't think I would have stepped into obedience if I would have known. But
no one would sign up for this.
No.
Yeah.
But so because I was really involved in a youth group, we went to it was a little Wesleyan church. That's how I got connected in this world. But we ended up at the district youth camp. And so at the district youth camp, there was a summer team from Bethany Bible College at the time, Kingswood, that was there. And I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it. I had visited OWU before. And so to back it up, so I'm the first person in my family to graduate high school,
Right.
let alone to go to college. It was not something that was really, it was kind of a joke. Didn't really think that was going to happen. I was continually between trying to hope for good things, but also not get my hopes up too much. Was just constant, whether it's where I was going in life or if it was something simple, which is kind of the posture I was constantly trying to manage in that. So going to college, I really, really wanted to. I knew that was something if I wanted to go to this next steps, what got something better for my life, that's what I needed to do. And I knew that where I was at in my life, I didn't want to go to a secular university.
Yeah.
I knew I had no boundaries in life ever.
Right.
And I just needed a little bit more guidance, and I wanted to learn what it meant to study in the word and to learn who God is and that sort of thing. So I had enough, I was smart enough to know that. And so I was trying to figure it out, but it's private colleges and universities, and how does that look when you have no money and all of that sort of thing. And so I was at a summer camp though, and there was a summer team there promoting the school.
Yeah.
And they did not that they did, but there was a classic called a ministry night at camp. And I wasn't really engaged in it a whole lot. And not in a way of I was ignoring it, but it wasn't, I was that's definitely not for me. So I'll just get this night over with type of thing. And it was the first time, I would say probably even still one of the times that was the clearest where I felt God literally just slapped a word in me and just said I want you to go there.
Wow.
And it was completely undeniable, not audible, but about as close as you can get to that. And God was God had always in my process with Him, and I just felt I could always hear God fairly well from even before I knew Him, I think. But in that, I just was rocked, and it floored me. The Holy Spirit just came on me. That I can say that now I understand a little bit better. But I was literally laid out, and I wasn't in a place where that was normal. I didn't know that was a thing. And so, but I didn't immediately jump on board. I was I'm not going to Canada. I had met one Canadian in my entire life. I didn't even know. I couldn't even name the provinces. I knew nothing about Canada at all. And so it just seemed foolish. But so for the rest of the week, it was that was probably halfway through camp. The rest of the week, I was miserable because I was just being disobedient to what God wanted. And I was not willing to step into it. So then by the end of the week, I was fine. I took an application, but I was I probably won't even fill this out. But I just it just was, God was just not letting up on it. And it was the first time in me knowing Him that I was being clearly disobedient from what He was asking me to do in a way that was within my control. And so it was horrible. And so eventually I just felt okay, God, I probably won't even get accepted. I won't even be able to get the money for that because I'm not going to be able to get scholarships, but I'll fill this out. And then I looked at it. I was because I didn't want to go into ministry, and I didn't even understand what a Bible college was. It was just all that was so green to me. And so I just knew I wanted to work with kids. So I was well, I guess I was thinking about teaching anyway. And so one of the programs was to be a teacher. And I was I'll do that and then continue on so I could work in the public school type of thing. And so I filled it out and of course got accepted. But then even in that, I knew I needed to figure this out. How am I even going to make this work? I know this is what God wants for me. So if He actually wants it, He's the only one that can make it happen. And so I told my family, my mom specifically, I'm going to be doing this. And my mom freaked out. It became this huge thing. And not because she, my parents weren't discouraging in anything, but just I think it was fear from her. Cause I fear that I was going to leave home, not come back, fear that I'm the one that kind of held the pieces together and I was going to be gone. I financially contributed to the house, all of those things. And I was just saying, oh, by the way, I'm leaving. And so I think it just was super scary for her. And so then if what we do in my family is that stuff happens and we fight. And so I got kicked out of my house. And so my senior year of high school, I ended up living with like my youth pastor.
Kind of weird to get kicked out of your house for saying you're going to go to college.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to leave. You're kicked out.
Well, I think that's kind of what she was saying though, is like, fine, then go. Like, cause she couldn't bear it type of thing. And I could have eventually come back home probably in that year, but I just was like, actually, this is probably for the best. I had a place to go. My youth pastor and his wife took me under the roof. They didn't have kids or anything yet. And so they filled that gap a little bit. And I ended up through that actually, even in that year, like gained a better relationship with my parents than I had my whole,
Yeah. You saw the good side of the church through all that, for
Absolutely.
sure.
What was, like, obviously you've been through some pretty traumatizing, painful stuff. What's been like the healing process of that for you?
I was going to ask it like, what have you had to undo the most? Maybe.
Yeah, like you don't just go like, well, that was weird. Like that stuff follows you in life, right?
Yeah. I think like even as like being younger, just seeing the brokenness and like in the Bible and just realizing like who God works through. And that like no one escapes that brokenness because it's sin. And so I do think like, I know that seems like, oh, sure. But like literally it just was like, okay, so like if God worked through these people then and he had a plan then, so like what's his plan now? And so capturing that early on, and I feel like God just gave me like a supernatural like gift of, and this sounds like I'm not trying to puff myself up, but like a supernatural gift of grace.
Yeah.
Like I know it doesn't make sense that like I don't hold on to those things, and not like it took work and God healed me and all of those things, but like I don't hold on to bitterness, and I don't hold on in bitterness with my family, and like and so I do think that there's God's hand in that a little bit, but and then also like just doing like using like when it shifted to go using what God allowed me to go through and to use it for the betterment of something, whether it's myself or whether it was somebody else. Like even as like a high schooler, I was very much trying to contribute to what God was doing. And then, and even from that point forward, and there was this message that I heard, like as a teenager, and I don't know, like it was an illustration. I might be messing it up, and it might not even. There's a lot of liberty taken in it, but just
we're pastors. The odds, or preachers. The odds are the pastor didn't even say it that way.
Probably.
But you heard something.
Yeah. But I remember there was this, and this shifted something for me. There was like the pastor was preaching on Jesus healing the blind man, and how, like in that, and it always was something I thought was weird and kind of gross, where how he like spits and like makes mud, and like why did he use spit? I don't know. That's super weird. And the pastor said he was talking about how he read once and like something that said like the blind man wouldn't have been able to see what Jesus is doing, but he could hear that he was spitting, and like that wouldn't be an unusual sound for him.
Right.
That like maybe because like he was like people didn't treat blind people or people with disabilities well back then. Like
maybe.
he might have been kicked, spit on, and just disregarded that way, and that how maybe just maybe Jesus was taking something that was used as something that would have been hurtful that he went through, and used and said, "See, I can redeem even this."
Yeah.
And so that was like there's there's always like a couple of things that God like uses, like whether it's messages or whatever in your life to like be a point, and that something that was for me. It's just like, okay, God, like I don't know how you're gonna use this, but I know that you can use it, like even me.
That's beautiful.
Well, and like, I mean, as you're my good friend, and you and Andy, and like just watching the way, having a little bit of insight, or like knowing your story, and then watching the way that, again, it's like that, what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. And like, you're the best mom, and like to see all the disadvantage you had, turned around into like how you be a mom and a wife and a pastor. And like, it is truly incredible just to see the redemptive hand of God on your life. I remember you were sharing a story too, just like we don't have time to do the last 20 years, but like, you ended up meeting Andy at Kingswood, clearly a match made in heaven kind of thing. Like you guys are just the best together. You shared a story though. I think it was Andy's mom talking about like praying for his future wife.
Yeah. And that was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is like, and then on top of it, like God used Andy to heal a lot in my life.
Yeah.
Because it was like meeting Andy, like he and I were friends for a couple of years and then started dating and got married. And, but like to experience, like Andy is like as even as they come.
He is.
But he doesn't lack personality and he is strong, but like he was the perfect person to step in my life to allow, like, rather than to try to control me or to like, these are the ways life is supposed to happen, or this is what you're supposed to do. Like I was still green and I was still a mess when we got married. Yeah. But to just experience love through him and just to learn a little bit more about the love of God through marriage, like was a huge piece of it. And then again with kids too. But when we were engaged, or might have been just married, I found this, like it was, or his mom might have given it to us actually, like a journal of like that she kept like kind of like a baby book type of thing, but in it, it was things that she like was praying for on a regular basis, and so of course for him to come to know the Lord and like all these things. So she would like literally be praying it when, she every night, like when she was like rocking him to sleep, but he was a baby. And one of the things that she would always pray for is like for his future wife, for his future wife. And so, and I don't even think I understood the significance of it then when I first realized that, but like, as like I stepped out further, because sometimes it can feel lonely. Like I feel like I've lived in two fractured worlds where like I just don't have history with anybody across the board. Yeah. My family doesn't know me who I am now. Yeah. And people who know me now don't know me then, which that's true for everybody, but it's just quite a big divide there. But, and so when we do talk about things of like praying for your kids and the things that are important in that, and like just the importance of that, and like, or those like praying grandmas or whatever, like, it's hard not to be like a little bit of like a to the heart sometimes of like, but I didn't have that. Yeah. But realizing that God intervenes and he does, like he creates spaces for that. So even when I was a baby, because Andy and I are like 2.5 months difference in age, and we're the same age. And so like, even that's significant that like when she was 2 months after I was born, my mother-in-law every night was praying for his salvation, his health, and his future spouse, which just happened to be one of the things that she prayed. And so that means I was being prayed for regularly.
That's beautiful.
And and so I think like, I don't know how that all works, but like it does.
Yeah.
One last question, maybe for anyone who's listening who maybe grew up in a super challenge. I mean, everyone's got their challenges from growing up, but there's levels to this thing. Like some of us are doing beer league, challenging growing up, and some of us are Olympic level. Yeah. Life was complicated growing up. For people who maybe have had some similar, or at least kind of parallel in terms of just the intensity of the rough stuff they grew up in and around and with, but maybe haven't found their way through it yet, haven't come to a place of healing or peace or whatever with it. Like, is there any kind of advice you would have for them? Anything you would just say like, hey, this is, I mean, we've touched on this already a little bit, but like, these are some things that if you can get this kind of into your head and into your heart, it's going to help you to move through that and continue to move forward. Yeah,
I would say don't claim the identity of victim. That would be a huge part of it, for me at least, that like you can either choose to like make it like your life, allow you to have a chip on your shoulder and walk around with like just like victim written across your head, and some people even use that as like a way to protect themselves, like that, like, oh, these are the reasons why, or like they have no emotion, or they're hard, or they're a mess, whatever it is, but it's because they are allowing those things that like God didn't create for them to be, like to be labels that they carry. And so do we find our identity in our past, or do we find it truly in Jesus? And it is scary to give up that control, because that, like, you can't control much when your life's that hard when you're that young, but you can control that is when you can, that bitterness or that anger, those are easier things to hold on to because it gets you through in a lot of ways.
It's not a good identity, but it's an identity.
At least it's something.
Like I at least know this is who I am.
Yeah, at least I'm tough. I can get through this or whatever. And like, you have to, if you really want Jesus to be able to do a new work in you, then you have to lay down those things that are holding on to the past. And I'm not saying it's not easy. It's not easy, but that has to be, for me, has had to be a continual process. And then even still, like each stage of life, there might be something that pops up that I think, oh, I'm done with this. Like I've healed. And then like, oh, I have kids. And I realize, oh, now I'm looking through the lens of like a mother, and that hurts in a whole new way. Cause I'm like, how could you? Or like getting to a different stage in life or whatever. And so you might have to continually put those things down, but like don't allow yourself to carry that label as victim, because it won't serve you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's going back. I mean, it's much more serious, but I actually had a tinge of when you were talking about your mom getting mad about you leaving. It's like, you can never leave here. Like, I get it. Like you are gifted to just hold things together in like a unusual way. So it's.
Since I've started working here, like it's funny. I've been familiar with Kings long before I got here, and there's the people who are the most prominent, and then there's the people who are the most important.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Like there's the, and like in a band, right? Like there's the front man, and then there's the guy who actually writes the music, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it has been just so cool, Kari, to see like you are so gifted.
Totally.
And so sharp, and so, like I kind of alluded to there in the introduction, like I love the way you can be the organizational genius behind some major project, and yet, if we're in staff meeting and we're sharing stories, you're just as likely to tell a story about sitting down with a 6th grade girl and having some meaningful conversation about what's going on in their life. Like that kind of organizational capacity and actual shepherding ability. So rare to find those two things together, and you're so strong at both of them. It's amazing to watch.
I don't know if it was like, I think maybe Spurgeon said it, but like it's contributed to a bunch of people, but like for those that God uses greatly, they're often wounded deeply.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can see it, like just even the direct correlation to some of the challenges you had in your early childhood, like God used to develop you into this, like, just like supreme leader, really. Like, and then also in your home and stuff like that. So,
I think we should change your official job title to Supreme
Supreme Leader.
Supreme Leader.
No,
I'm good. This is just
it's been helpful, even like, like just to have, because I'm not one of those ones that, like might come to a big shocker to people, but I'm not like big on DEI or any like that. Like just how you were such a just obvious, like top tier leader that I'm always after best available. Right. And like you kind of being at the table then I think has opened up, like maybe it's taught me like, oh, women actually bring a whole different set of perspectives and stuff, but you were able to just operate at a level that like I understood, and so it's made me a better leader, I think, having you at the table. So anyway, all that to say, this isn't the let's like brag on Kari Broad podcast, but like you're an unbelievable leader, and I consider it a privilege to work alongside of you and be your friend. So
thank you.
And for what it's worth, your story was really good.
Yeah,
it lived up to the hype.
It's crazy. Well, it is one of those ones that like when you hear it, you're like, I would never have guessed that.
Yeah,
no. But we do have one more important matter of business here on the back
arguably
corner.
The most important.
Well, maybe, yeah. Although I don't know about this top 4 being all that important, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
So you picked it, so introduce it.
Sure. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Top 4 flavors of ice cream.
go from like the
From the
deepest
sublime
story.
to the
Hey,
ridiculous.
you have to find the joy in the midst
absolutely.
of all of it, or else
Yeah.
what's the point?
I mean, I don't
love me some
think
ice cream.
there's any problem, challenge, difficulty, hardship you can face in life that's not at least marginally improved by ice cream.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is
So
true.
the two
Absolutely.
things you've always got going for you: Jesus loves you, and ice cream.
All right, I'll lead off.
All right.
I'm going number 4, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Number 3, mint chip fudge.
Oh,
No?
no,
Oh, I
man.
like
I
it.
like mint chip.
You feel fresh. After.
Yeah,
It's
it
nice.
just feels like you had ice cream with toothpaste in it.
It's got to have the fudge in it, though. It's not just mint chip.
Can't
I
do
like
mint.
mint chip too.
I mean, yeah, in a pinch. Peanut butter fudge crunch. Number 2. I like peanut butter.
Yeah,
so.
no, clearly.
And number 1 seems a little bit childish, but it's not. If you go to Cows, they have it's like a Cookie Monster kind. It's blue and it's got chunks of like
That's your
fudge.
number
and then,
one?
yeah, and it's got chunks of Oreo in it.
That does sound childish, but I'm not arguing.
It's
with it.
awesome. It's awesome. So that's mine.
I love peanut butter, but I don't really like it in ice cream.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I probably the closest thing I have to a specific substance abuse issue is Reese peanut butter cups, but yet the ice cream doesn't really grab for. I'm gonna go, and this is hard. Like I love ice cream. That's like a deep passion for me. But I'm not that fancy. Butterscotch Ripple. I love
I don't
it.
know if I've
Wow.
ever had
I love a good
butterscotch.
butterscotch Ripple.
That's pretty plain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
The next one's gonna be grape nut.
No. Strawberry.
Rum
I enjoy a good
fruit,
strawberry,
yeah.
particularly with
Rum
the chunks
butter.
in it.
rum raisin.
Elk Crossing,
Whoa.
which is it's a flavor
is.
that they've got it's a brand that they carry at Superstore called The Scoop.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That is phenomenal.
And it does have. It's got the little peanut butter cups in it
Yep.
and chunks of chocolate, and it's in that same vein as like a Moose Tracks or whatever else like that kind of Elk Crossing. But then I think my absolute favorite, tied with Elk Crossing, but it's a little more classic for me. It's the Taste of Summer. It's what I always buy at Bailman's in Browns Flat if I
yeah.
can. Is just straight up black cherry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
love black cherry.
You're one step away from rum raisin, sir. That's an old person. Black cherry is an old person.
You think?
Standard. Yeah. Grape nut, rum raisin.
I mean, I'll give you
Neapolitan.
butterscotch
What's a
Ripple is old
tiger
person.
stripe?
Tiger stripe, definitely.
Butterscotch
old
is
person.
definitely old. Strawberries even. I don't know about black cherry.
Tiger stripe. That is awful. You might as well just be eating sherbet.
Never had
at
it.
that point.
With licorice though.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Carrie?
Is that what the stripes
it's
are?
orange, orange
Yeah,
and
it's
black,
black
licorice.
licorice.
Oh.
Which,
Yeah, no.
No.
Ew, ew, ew.
No.
What do you got, Carrie? Top
I would
4.
say my 4 would be Rocky Road.
Yep. Chunk like Rocky Road.
I love Rocky Road.
Yes. Okay.
The Weird Al song.
I would not. But my 3rd would be the blueberry sundae from McPhee's, like in Penfield or over by like New River, like the blueberry stand.
Okay. Yeah.
But
What is it?
It's like fresh blueberries.
like with like little wild blueberries.
Yeah, but what's it called?
It's a blueberry sundae.
Oh.
It's at the like big blueberry building. I don't know.
Yeah,
I might have to check that
I
out.
think it's
yeah.
McPhee's.
I like blueberry.
Yeah,
It's worth stopping.
I like tartness.
McKay's.
McKay's, that's what it is.
I think. Yeah.
Yes, I think
Unofficial
you're right.
sponsor.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So then the next one, my second would be Sussex ice cream honeycomb.
Ooh.
That
you like
one,
all the natural
What's that?
flavors.
What's that all about?
It's like has like a burnt toffee in it, but it's also gooey too. It's amazing.
We're all gonna have to go get some ice cream
amazing.
after this.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
then-
sure me and the missus are having some ice cream tonight.
Neither one of those would miss. And then my number 1 would be the coffee soft serve at Pete's Dairy Bar in St. George is like
yeah,
worth
it's-
driving
it's
an hour
solid.
for.
It's Pete's. So Pete's Dairy Bar in St. George. If you're ever in southern New Brunswick, that's a good stop. Still, the best ice cream is Snow's in Hampton. This is at least the 5th time I've mentioned it on the back corner.
I'm
Do
yet
they
to
make
go.
their
I've
own?
never heard.
I don't know where they get it. Certainly not Chapman's, but which is also right there in Hampton. It is so good. Like it is just out of the park good. So
I don't like coffee either, so I'm not. I
Oh, the
can't
coffee
come from
soft
that.
serve
it is good. It's
I-
I,
No,
can
I just don't
vouch.
like coffee. I mean, like, turns my stomach.
You get the
flavor.
coffee soft serve with a dip. Oh, let's go. All right. Well, this has been a good time.
All right. Thanks so much, Kari.
Yeah,
This
Carrie.
was awesome.
Super,
Thanks for having me.
super good. See you next time, gang.